one of the ways in which we do seek immortality is by putting our name to something, whether it's by some great achievement, whether it's building something. We kind of want to be the one who made that, who put this marker in the sand.
I'm Ben, and I've worked as a medical doctor in the UK for over 20 years now. In my specialty of intensive care medicine and anaesthesia, I've seen both the strength and the frailty of the human body. And I'm also a Christian, so I believe in life after death. And the combination of my job and my faith means that I am dead interested in this topic that we're going to be talking about in this series, which is, so you want to live forever? So Charlie, you're a vicar. I guess like me, you've ended up chatting with quite a lot of people about death and dying.
In sort of 15 years of being a pastor of a church, I've done over 200 funerals. Inevitably, you're talking to people as they're preparing for the death, or when somebody has died and you're facing bereavement and death is right there staring you straight in the face.
And do you get the impression in any of those conversations that people wanted to extend their life in any way?
When you're thinking about a child or someone younger dying, there's obviously a real sense of this is wrong, the life has been cut short. But I think even with someone who's lived a long life, and even there can be quite a lot of positivity and life celebration around someone's death, I think there's still a sense of like, it's too short. And so there's kind of quite a lot of cards that say something like, gone but not forgotten. This idea that there's something's gonna last. It can't just be 70, 80 years and that's it.
Yeah. And it's such an extraordinary situation, the whole dying and death process, isn't it? Because someone was so significant in your life and then all of a sudden they're just gone. We're in the city of Oxford. We can see a ton of things even around us now where we've got a lot of kind of remembrance going on, haven't we?
Yeah, and not just all the saints, but all the colleges, the houses, the big buildings that are named after somebody because they wanted to commemorate what somebody did or a great benefactor. And then just here you've got the Martyrs Memorial, which is here to remember 3 specific people: Cranmer, Latimer and Ridley. There's this beautiful thing really that kind of rings in my mind, which you can imagine the Latimer and Ridley, they're taken to the stake, to the big bonfire, they know they're about to be burned, and Latimer turns and he says, "Be of good cheer, Master Ridley, for we shall light such a candle in England that shall never be put out." And I think it's amazing that 300 years later, they put up this memorial. 150 years later, we're standing here reading it. People know their names. There are places named after them.
I'm loving how the pigeons are appreciating this particular memorial.
They just come, they just like to turn up, leave a little present, and off they fly.
Dedication. It's a thing of beauty. So I guess this is a sort of a kind of immortality, isn't it? In that you have these Christian and this heritage that is continuing on through the centuries from what they've done.
Yeah, and I think if you've got people who believe the same things as you, who are going to pick up the baton after you, you're just part of a relay race and the race continues, I think that makes loads of sense. But your legacy, your immortality depends on other people.
And of course, recently there have been some situations where statues have been demolished.
Oh yeah, they've been torn down, rolled down the hill and dropped into the docks at Bristol, and there are loads of moves in Oxford. There's very much an idea that, how on earth can we be celebrating this person today, given the fact that their views that they had back then, considered in the light of today, are just, unconscionable. And so there is this move to say, let's rid ourselves of that history. Let's demonstrate change and progress.
It is something that's not just recent, is it? It has actually been through ancient civilization that people have revised what they believed and rethought things.
Yeah, people have always wanted to sort of put their mark, saying, I did that, I was here. They tear down the statues of the previous dynasty and they establish their own. There's this great poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley.
Oh, good old Percy.
And they find this thing and it says, Ozymandias, King of Kings. And yet now it's just a stone plinth. And then like the head of the statue's kind of rolled off. Despite all of his kind of King of Kings, he was this great pharaoh. Everybody would have worshipped him as a god at the time. And yet now, when it comes down to it, he's just a block of stone. Dead, lifeless, in the desert, nothing going on.
But we are still talking about him now, right?
We are, but it's not life. It might be some sort of lastingness. But for at least a few hundred years, people have completely forgotten about him until they dig it up and somebody writes a poem. There might be a sort of immortality, but if anything, Ozymandias is remembered for being forgotten. He had this great power and wealth, but now he's just in a museum somewhere.
But yeah, I guess it's not really true life for him.
No.
It's more a remembrance.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a beautiful tree though, eh?
It's amazing. It's such an ent.
All this talk of death and dying and eternal life is quite extraordinary. There's no denying that. So that's why I'd love you to join us for the rest of the series, when I'm going to be interviewing a whole load of friends and colleagues about death and dying and eternal life from multiple different worldviews. And hopefully you will see that there is light in the darkness. There's also tons of resources to find out more on the OCCA website, which can be found at www.theocca.org. Hopefully see you soon.